to be a professional in preparing working contracts. You have to be a professional in running payroll. You have to be a professional in all these kinds of things. No doubt about it. Okay? And then you have to be an employee champion. What does that mean? That's about the commitment and capability of the people. Shaping an environment, shaping processes, shaping all the things which are relevant for the people, that they love what they do and that they are strong in what they do. It's about motivation, performance. Right? Okay? So, there should be no HR lecture without having seen this model. Yeah. And you should be able to explain these building blocks. Yeah? You find a lot of sources about this even in the internet. Okay? And that's the crown, the basis for a lot of things which we now find in HR. Okay? So, a new role, based on this, a new role in HR emerged in the last few years. A role which you have never heard of 10, 15 years ago. It's the role of the HR business partner. It's the idea of there is an HR person dealing with the head of a division, let's say, of a country, of a large organizational unit, dealing with all people-related things. In earlier days, you had terms like HR generalist, Personalreferent. Yeah, but these terms are dying. Yeah, you still find these terms, HR generalist, the HR person that takes care for everything and knows everything. Personalreferent, yeah, the one who takes care for all the HR stuff. Today we name it HR business partner, and I mean there is no better way of showing you the responsibility of a typical HR business partner and sharing job ad with you. This is, I just went to monster.com. Monster.com, this job board, and I typed in HR business partner. You'll find a lot of positions. Yeah, I don't even know this company. I don't know.
Verizon.
Yeah?
Telecommunication mobile phone company.
Ah, okay.
That's like the second largest.
So I'm a professor in training. I don't know. Okay. Are they good? Good brand? Okay. Okay. No, fine. So, what's written here is exactly what you find on the right side. It's amazing how much text you can put into Provide HR consultation, policy interpretation, and strategic planning to all levels of client organization. Wow. Managing HR projects and program implementation, employer branding, employee surveys, executive development for public policy, law and security and strategy development and planning organizations. Responsible for providing human resources support. It's the support level in the areas of ethics, compliance, equal employment opportunities, compensation planning, performance management, talent management, headcount management, leadership development, staffing, absence management, employee relations, and labor relations. Ability to influence without direct authority, leading through competence, charisma, empathy, diplomacy. Provide analysis of data and monitor HR results through key metrics, develop and communicate status of key initiatives with HR report. That's huge. Yeah, it's showing you this because this is not an HR administration guy. This is much more than this. It takes some years of experience to fill this role successfully. Okay? Now there's the administrative part. Yeah? Verwaltung. Also there, a lot of things changed. Yeah? And nowadays, if you look at the administrative part in large scale organizations such as Microsoft, ABB, SAP, BMW, Shell, all these companies, then how does this work? Imagine you have a question. You're an employee in one of these companies, and you have a question. Do I get a company car? If yes, when? Which one? You have a question. You have a question about your payslip. You don't understand something. You want to do a training on, let's say, time management, project management. So you have a question, and you think, okay, there is an HR department where I can address this question, right? And I mean, your understanding probably is that, okay, there is an HR department somewhere here in this building, second floor. I go to this nice lady, say, hey, Mrs. Pfister, I want to do a training. Can you help me? And that is not the way how it works in big corporations. In big corporations, it works like this. The first step you have to undertake as an employee, whenever you have a question, is that you enter the intranet. Okay, you have a portal, employee portal. In the intranet, there might be a Q&A, question and answers. You're looking for, okay, company car, and then you get something. It's easy. Or there is something like a virtual assistant. Do you know what that is, a virtual assistant? I could show you, but because we're running out of time. Go to IKEA.com, okay? IKEA.de, and you will find Anna. Have you seen her? Anna? Yeah, Anna? It's a little window, and there you can ask questions. Do you have chairs? Yes, here's the link. How much is a bed? Oh, different. If you want to learn more about our beds, click here. Did that help? Yeah. So it's a virtual assistant. It's not a real person behind. It's a automated assistant with a huge database of possible questions and right answers. Okay. Or you have something like an internal yellow page. Oh, I need an expert on something, on labor law. Where do I find information about working contracts, or I don't know, about our salary schemes? So you find a yellow page and you find some experts which you can contact. So the idea is that in the first step, you are enabled to answer your question by your own. Okay? And there is one thing else, one thing more. ESS, you know what that is? Employee self-service. Employee self-service. What is a self-service? When you do a transaction, you want to transfer money from your account to another account. You do it by your own. Okay. You enter a portal, or you have an app, and you do it. In earlier days, you entered the bank, you had to fill in a form, and you hand it over. Yeah? There was an employee involved. Today, there is no employee involved on the side of the bank. You do it by your own. Yeah? It's a self-service. If you want to get approval for some vacancies, okay, in the portal there's a service. You can submit when you want to have your holidays, and you submit that, and you get an approval. Yeah, these are self-services. Okay, things that you can do by your own. You want to change your banking account? Okay, you do it by your own. There's no employee involved. Okay? So the idea is that in the first step, as much things as possible are somehow automated. Maybe 70% of all the queries, all the questions which come in. If this is not enough, you have call centers. Yeah? Big corporations have call centers. You have a number and you can call. You have a question about your payslip, press 1. You have a question about pension, press 2. You have a question about health, press 3. You have a question about training, press 4. Yeah, and then it goes on, and if you're lucky, you get a person, and you can talk. Okay? And these call centers, where are they located? Where's the person you talk to located? In India, in Ireland. Is that person you are talking to part of the HR department? Not necessarily. Now this person answers a question for an employee at Accenture, and an hour later, he or she is answering a question of an employee at BMW. Yeah? They are trained for doing things like this. Okay? We will talk about HR Service Center in a minute. Okay? Now, if that does not help, you might have an HR expert which you can directly contact, or you ultimately talk to an HR business partner, to an expert. But these are only the 5%, the 10 to 5% of the queries which come in. These are very special. Okay? And if this does not help, the HR director comes into play. So the idea is really, and I want you to understand, is to have a very standardized, very efficient process to manage all the queries that come in. And this does not only apply to HR, this does apply to every circumstance where people have questions, something like this. Okay? So, this is one thing, a very simple idea. Okay? Now, let's talk about shared service center. That's a very important concept, not only in HR, but also in accounting. Wherever you have administrative work, HR or service centers come into play. I'd like to show you this on a very concrete example. Okay? So what you see here is the way how a company did recruiting in earlier days. Okay? So this is a company, and this company has 2 locations. Let's say one location, Unit A, is in Germany, yeah, and the other unit is in UK. And in earlier days, both units did the entire recruiting process by their own. So in Germany, they defined the target profile, they did the HR marketing, job posting and all this stuff. They managed all the incoming applications, did a pre-selection, made an assessment, interviews and such, made job offer negotiation, prepared the job offer, and then introduced the new employee. So this was the entire recruiting process done by the Germans and done in UK, independently. And if somebody like you wanted to apply for both locations, you say, okay, I would like to work in your company. I don't care whether I could work in Germany or in UK. And here is one single application that did not work. You had to apply independently at both units. One application is sent to Germany and one application is sent to UK. And you get different responses. Okay? So, maybe the most important thing on this slide is the line in the middle. These are totally different worlds, right? Is that efficient? Probably not. As you can see here, they work with totally different independent systems, application databases maybe. There's no coordination between these two. No synergy, no potential for synergy effects is used. So if they would do things together, maybe they can be faster, maybe they can be more professional, maybe they can save costs. Yeah? get rid of one of these systems. Use only one system. Yeah? Have one unit that is taking care for some steps commonly. Okay, that's the idea of shared service center, sharing the same services. Okay. If you apply at SAP, what do you guess? What happens to your application? Where is the person which has a look at your application in the very first step? Where is this person located? In Prague. Doesn't matter whether you apply in Germany or in UK or in the Netherlands or in Italy. Your application will in the first step always be reviewed by a person in Prague. Okay. They do all this recruiting stuff for all countries. Okay, that's the idea. How does that work? Okay, now we have these different steps in the recruiting process, right? And now we do the following exercise. Okay, very simple. We ask ourselves, okay, there are some steps in the recruiting process which are really standardized. They are always the same. Yeah? Managing incoming applications. Looking, is the application complete? Is the application serious? Or did somebody apply as Barack Obama? Yeah? I mean, all these things happen on a daily basis. So there must be somebody who has a first look at every incoming application. You can't imagine what you get as a recruiter. You get porn and everything. I mean, really, it's... So there must be somebody who has a first look, the first filter. Is the application complete? Is it serious? Yeah. And this is always the same. It's always the same task. And it's always the same. It doesn't matter whether it's an application in the Netherlands, in UK, in Germany, Italy, France. Doesn't matter. It's always the same. It's always the same process. Posting a job ad at Monster. Hey, that's standard. It's always the same. It's an administrative process that always looks the same. Preparing a job offer, contract, might be different depending on different legal conditions in different countries, but overall, that's more or less the same. I mean, also the pre-selection to a certain extent can be standardized very much. And the other dimension is not only standardization, but how close you want to be to the applicant. Yeah? Do you have to talk to the applicant? Do you have to have any kind of conversation with the applicant? Or is it something that really happens really far from the applicant? Right? So there are also some steps which can't be standardized. Yeah? And where you really have to be very close to the applicant. You have to talk to the applicant on an individual basis. Yeah? You have to see the applicant. You have to deal with this person. Something like the assessment center, doing interviews, giving feedback to the interview, making a decision based on the interviews and all these things. These can't be standardized. These are very individual. So the idea is, when we sort all these different activities, which are all part of the entire recruiting process, we can take all those where you are not close to the applicant and which are very standardized. Take those and transfer all these activities to a common service center in India, in Ireland, Czech Republic. Okay? If you do this, yeah, then the new world looks like this. Okay? Now, we still have Germany, we still have UK, but in these countries, you only do some of the tasks in the recruiting process. Okay, you still do the definition of the target profile, but then making the job posting on Monster or these typical job boards, managing the application, incoming application, doing the pre-selection, that is done for both countries in one single shared service, or here in that case, shared recruiting center. And then once the candidate is pre-selected, the process gets back to the country. They do the interview. They make the negotiation with the candidate. But then the job offer is done by the shared service center. Yeah? And then if the person is hired, the introduction of the new employee, the onboarding, as we used to say, is done in the country. And they all, the units, Germany, UK, and the shared service, and they use one single recruiting system in a modern world, an e-recruiting system, which is based on internet technology. Okay, you got this? Yeah. Why do companies do this? Let me ask this question again. Why do companies move from such a world to such a world?
It's more effective and they don't need that many people. They save the costs. And it's just easier to manage from one to another, and there's no double work.
There's no double work. Yeah, you're more effective. You need less people. Yeah, all these things. Yeah, what else?
It also moves easy to do operations to low cost.
You can save costs because you move actions, activities, tasks to a low-cost country. Right? You can save costs with this. Right? Okay. Perfect. Okay. Again, that also applies in accounting. Yeah. A company gets an invoice. The invoice is always transferred in the first step to a shared service center, and they look at the invoice. Is it complete? Does it fit to the formal requirements? Yeah. And then it goes to the local units. Okay. It's always the same idea. So let me summarize. There is one model. It's a 3-pillar model of modern human resource management organizations. Das Drei-Säulen-Modell. Yeah? You really should know this. If you work in HR, you will hear this term all the time. Drei-Säulen-Modell, 3-pillar model of modern HR organizations. So let me explain this, or to summarize this stepwise. It's a summary. Now, nothing new. I just want to show you an overview how HR business partner, shared service center, technology, how all these things are integrated to serve the customers. Who are the customers of HR? Managers, employees, and to a certain extent also applicants. These are the customers of HR. Yeah? To put it simple. I mean, some would say, no, that's not fully correct, but let's take it that way, okay? Now, the managers, they are supported by the HR business partners. Yeah? You remember, these are those people who really support the managers, the unit, on all HR-related topics. Example? There's a unit, 1,000 employees, and they run through a reorganization. Yeah? Then you deal with change management. Yeah? Or there is a major strategic shift in a unit, and you need to qualify the people. You as an HR business partner, you make sure that all these things happen. Yeah? Really manage the strategic topics which are people related. Yeah? Okay? So, we have seen this job ad about HR business partner. That gives you a very good indication of what these guys really do. Yeah? Now, if an HR business partner does not have the expertise for some things, like, I'll give you an example. There is a unit, okay? There is a unit, and I'm the HR business partner, and this unit has to lay off 20% of its people. You as an HR business partner, you take care for this. Yeah? You have to lay off 20% of the people. Now, that's also a legal aspect. Okay. Now, as an HR business partner, you don't have the understanding, the full understanding about law to do this thing right. So you have to have an expert. Yeah? And these experts are the so-called experts in center of expertise. Yeah? Center of expertise are teams with experts. You have experts on labor law. You have experts on executive search. You have experts on employer branding. You have experts on compensation benefits. They are really deep in something. Yeah? It might be a very interesting job for you if you are interested in HR. If you say, I love HR, I would like to work in HR, but not the full range. What I love in HR is talent management, or I love employer branding. That's really great. You better work in a center of expertise. And you deal with very specific topics. And you go very deep into this. And you support the HR business partners, those which directly deal with the customers. The center of expertise, they never deal directly with managers. They support the HR business partners. Okay? Now, what's with the employees? They use IT, SSN, hotline, employee self-services, manager self-services, but employee self-service is most important, and the shared service center, as I've shown you. So, when you talk about the three pillar, when you talk about the drei Säulen, then what are these? HR business partner, center of expertise, shared service center. In modern organizations, you always find these three roles. Okay. Now, if you are interested in HR, it's a total difference whether you work in a shared service center. You probably will not do this because you only do highly standardized administrative stuff. Yeah. But maybe you work as an HR business partner. There you learn a lot because you learn the whole range of HR. Really, it's a fantastic job. Or you become an expert in something within HR, and you might work in a center of expertise. Centers of expertise are, in most cases, located in the headquarters. Yeah. Okay. So, to add one thing, we have a fourth role sometimes. And the fourth role is you work with partners, suppliers. You outsource something. So, beyond the HR business partner center of expertise and the shared service center, you might also have external partners you work with, agencies, executive search companies, companies that take care for payroll, things like this. Okay. Now, is that clear, or are there any questions around this? I mean, as a preparation for the exam, I mean, really think about why must this be this way? Why is that such a smart model? Why do companies do this? Yeah? I want you to see the reasons behind it. Yeah? To summarize this again, I mean, these people directly support the managers. They have a very broad understanding. Yeah? While the experts, they have a very deep understanding. You have to have both. You can't be a generalist in everything and the expert in everything. You can't be that. So you need both. And this combination helps the organization to deal with all relevant topics and with the required expertise. And all these things here, the shared service center, are there to really manage all the admin stuff in a very efficient, professional way. Okay? So with such a model, you cover all the different roles which are required in HR. Okay? Now let's talk a little bit about outsourcing. You know this term outsourcing, right? Outsourcing? Yeah, there's a question.
Just about the decentralized recruiting. If I apply for a company, how I know actually that it's decentralized and I can apply for the board?
Very good question. As an applicant, how can you tell whether there is a decentralized organization or a centralized organization?
They will tell you when you apply. They will either tell you apply there or apply here.
Either you see it on the web, yeah, you find different online forms, yeah, different parts of the career website. One is maybe UK, the other is German, and they look different. They have different application modes, or, as you said, they will tell you. Yeah, if you ask, okay, I want to apply it both in UK and in German, they will tell you, okay, you have to send 2 applications. You will learn this. Okay. Okay, outsourcing. What is that? Dumb question. What is the difference between outsourcing and offshoring?
Well, I guess you can outsource without offshoring something. Outsourcing is if you just give it to another business that provides service to you.
You give some services, some activities, some tasks to an external provider, which is not part of your organization. Right? Outsource. You let somebody else do the job. Okay? So once you have outsourced something, it's no more a task that is done by your organization. It's done by somebody else outside the organization. It's outsourcing. What is offshoring? Have you heard this term?
You manage it yourself, but you do it in a lower cost country.
You do it by yourself, but you do it maybe in a low-cost country or somewhere else in the world, right? There are ways to structure all these things. Yeah, I don't want to go too deep into this, but just want you to see that there is a difference between outsourcing, where you really transfer activities to an external partner, and offshoring, you do it by your own in your organization, maybe in a shared service center, but the shared service center is in Ireland, India, or somewhere else. That's offshoring. Okay? Now the important question, and I want you to see this, that's the most important part here. First, which tasks can be outsourced? And the second question, which I want you to understand, is why do companies do this? Yeah? Now, here is a way how companies can really prioritize different tasks and then make a decision upon which tasks can be outsourced and which not. Yeah?
It depends on our strategy and our core competence.
Okay, it depends on our core competence. What is that, a core competence? May I ask you this question? What is that? Core competence.
The thing we really rely on to be distinguished in the market.
Something where you're really strong in. Right? Basis where you can distinguish it from the market, from the competitor. A core competence, something where you're really strong. Is payroll, is recruiting part of your core competence? Could be, at least for recruiting, but for payroll, I mean, look at a company like Microsoft, look at a company like Google, look at a company like Daimler. Is doing payroll, is that a core competence of these corporations? Probably not. Their core competence is developing, producing, and selling cars. So the question is, what is our competence? Where are we strong and where are we weak? When Bill Gates was asked, in earlier days, when Bill Gates was asked, what is the biggest strength of Microsoft? What is the biggest strength of Microsoft? You know what he said? He said the biggest strength of Microsoft is recruiting the smartest and brilliant people. That's what he said. Yeah, that's our biggest strength, recruiting the best. It's interesting. It was not that he said, our biggest strength is producing the best software. Yeah. So he really said, that's one of our biggest strengths. We are very strong in this, and we will do this by our own. And it's a task of our managers and of the executives to make sure that the best people in the world work at Microsoft. They had this philosophy. Okay? While other companies might say, our biggest strength is building cars, but hiring people, we are really weak in this, and that's fine. Let somebody else do the job. Okay? So the question is really, where are we strong and where are we weak? In those tasks where we feel we are weak, you can think about whether somebody else should do the job. Yeah? So this is the internal competence compared to the external service provider. And then, how specific are the requirements for these different tasks? How specific? I mean, things like employer branding, they are really specific. They differ from company to company, really. Performance management, that's so specific. Yeah? You hardly can standardize this. Top management placements, yeah, highly specific to a certain extent. Yeah, but things like pension, MS Office trainings. I mean, this is not specific. You do the same. External providers can do the same MS Office training in totally different corporations. That's always the same. It's not specific. Yeah. The same as payroll. Yeah. Exit interviews. Once somebody has quit the job, doing an exit interview, asking the person, why did you leave? Why did you decide to leave this company? Do you have specific requirements on doing something like this? Probably not. Yeah? Is it a strength of a company to do something like this? Probably not. So all these things on the bottom left-hand side could be outsourced. Okay? So that's a very typical idea. Especially if you have tasks with a high volume, yeah, tasks that you do on very often, yeah, then you also can outsource this. You would not outsource something if it has a high strategic relevance. If something's really strategic, something like top management placement, I mean deciding who's going to be our next CEO, CFO, that's strategic. You might take some help from external partners, but that's somewhere in the middle, right? Okay? So that's a very good task to sort these different tasks and to find out which things can be outsourced and which not. The next question is, why do companies outsource? And again, this does not apply only to HR, it also applies to accounting, to other areas, parts of purchase. Yeah. Why? Here's the answer. Yeah. And let's talk about these points for some minutes. One point we also already talked about, it's focus. And that's clear. Yeah, focus. I'm Daimler. My strength is building cars, producing cars. My strength is not running a payroll organization. So I would like to focus on the ultimate purpose of our company, which is producing cars. So let's get rid of all the rest. Yeah, if you get rid of all the rest, you can focus on your ultimate purpose. That's one idea. I mean, that's quite simple. Let's talk about the second point. Some would say, once you have outsourced a task, you get higher quality. Yeah? If I let an external partner do all the payroll, Gehaltsabrechnung, I get better quality. Why?
We assume that we produce cell phones, and we found a company using their read about the field of changes that some companies they focus on the application. So I believe that this company would make a really good application for the demo outsource. So
Why? But why?
Because they're focused only on this one.
Yeah, exactly. So what you said is, If you work with an external partner, probably this external partner is doing nothing else than this, right? They do nothing else than payroll. They do nothing else than recruiting. They do nothing else than Microsoft Office training. So they must be strong on this, and they are stronger than we are. Okay? So let's do the job. That's one point. Another point is, I mentioned this on the slide, this has to do with competition. I give you a very concrete example of your daily life. If you have a question and you visit the examination office, Prüfungsamt, Studentenbüro, Students Office, International Center, yeah? Now imagine you are totally pissed. I don't get the right answer in time. I don't get any response. And the response is bad. What can you do? Huh? What can you do?
Drink wine.
Drink wine. Right. You can drink. Seriously, what can you do? Nothing. There is only this one student's office. You have no choice. They are in a monopolist position. Okay? And if I find myself in a monopolist position, if I know I'm the only one, you can only ask me, yeah, I must not care about my job because, I mean, there is no competition, right? Would be maybe a good idea to have 2 students' office, and they get paid for every request of a student. For every request, they get €5. That would change the world. These 2 students' office, and you can choose between the one or the other. And they earn money whenever you visit them. Yeah? You would immediately feel that now they compete and they will do their best to get the most requests. And they do the best that you come again to this office and not to this office. So once you have a competition, the different offices will do their best. And that's one issue with HR. I tell you honestly. That's an issue with HR. If you work in a corporation and you have a question about whatever, company car, payslip, vacation, pension, training, you don't have a choice. You have only this HR department. So, since they are not competing against another HR department, they are allowed to do a lousy job, to put it that way. I don't say that they do this. Yeah? Okay. But if they do a lousy job, it probably does not matter in a way how it would matter to an external partner. So external partners, external service providers, they compete against each other and they try to do the best, yeah, to compete. Now, how about costs? Yeah? We say through outsourcing we can save costs. And the answer is written on the slide. Economy of scale. What is that? Yeah? Economics first session.
If you put more together, you can do it more efficiently.
Right. So, the cost per payslip. What is the cost of producing one single Gehaltsabrechnung on a monthly basis? The cost per payslip, if you do this 1,000 times a month, you produce 1,000 payslips a month. The cost per payslip is probably higher than when you do 10,000 a month. Okay? Like if you produce 100 pretzels a day, cost per pretzel is higher than when you produce 1,000 pretzels a day. Why? Come on. Economics. Why is this the case? Yeah. You used your capacity. Yeah. Okay. What else? Capacity. What is that capacity? Machines. Yeah. Systems. Yeah. Okay. Chance to learn. Yeah. All this stuff. What else? Why economy of scale? Why does it work? That's a fundamental idea of business.
you do more, it usually pays off to invest heavily into technology and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And then you can do it more efficiently.
If I do 200 pay slips a month, do I consider investing in a huge, sophisticated software? Probably not. But if I do 10,000 times a month, yes, I would do this, and then it pays off. Right? Okay? Flexibility. I mean, that's easy. Think about a recruiting department. What do you do with your recruiters in times where you don't hire? Huh? Fire them. Don't do this. Right? Yeah, but if you outsource some services, you just take the services when you need them, and if you don't need them in times where you don't hire, it's fine, no problem. Okay, so these are the 4 things which I want you to understand: focus, quality, costs, flexibility. Yeah. Again, this is nothing to learn by heart, but something which you need to be able to explain, maybe with an own example. That would be fine. Right? Okay, so HR organization, these were all these different things we talked about, quite a lot. Global integration, local differentiation, global HR, up to a 3-pillar model of modern organization, outsourcing, onshoring, offshoring, target role, and so on.